I'm Arisha Augustus. I'm a Deputy Director by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. I'm in the Chief Directorate Monitoring, Control and Surveillance. I am in the Directorate Compliance. I am responsible for the enforcement of the Marine Living Resources Act and the conservation of marine resources and the sustainable utilization thereof. In my directorate, we do have fishery control officers, which is the staff which is responsible to do inspections on board of fishing vessels within the port or at sea or in the EZ or at the high seas. During these inspections, our officials ensure that there is compliance with our legislation, the Marine Living Resources Act, but in terms of our permit conditions, we also look at the compliance of other sister stakeholders or other departments or organs of state, like SAMSA, like the Department of Labor, like other legislations like NEMA, environmental management. We look at pollution issues, etc. But our role mostly in that, with regard to other legislations, is to report to the relevant organization when we find any discrepancies or any infringements or non-compliance. We report it. In terms of our legislation, we are mandated to enforce the legislation, so we do that by issuing fines or, take the necessary law enforcement steps by opening case dockets, or we can just issue a warning. But during these inspections, the role of the inspector, when a vessel notifies, usually the requirement is that it's either 24 or when it comes to the foreign fishing vessels, they must give us 72 hours notifications. Usually they do it through their agents. So our inspectors, which is now the fishery control officers inspections, is just their rank in terms of the department. They would go on board in the vessel and follow the law enforcement steps, or I won't say law enforcement, so inspection procedures. Similar to other departments, we do have an inspection sheet that need to be ticked, a checklist that needs to be followed, whether all the permits is on board, whether all the logbooks are on board, and then our inspectors would they would either seal the vessel for later discharge or they would monitor the discharge. Since 2013, our inspectors has been monitoring discharges from fishing vessels, but however, now since last year, 2023, towards the end of, in the previous year, towards the end of 2022, we appointed catch monitors through the EPW program of government, which is it's a temporary contract for 3 years, but it's also in light to create jobs for the youth.
And today you are in Gqeberha for
Yes.
the International Labour Organization workshop. And it's a workshop to train South African personnel that are inspecting fishing vessels to look out for especially labor that is enforced. In other words, people that are used in vessels without proper labor recruitment processes. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And there's a vast of other things that is quite eye-opening. And for us, I'm going to speak specifically from fisheries management side, from the Monitoring, Control and Surveillance Directorate, that for us, as I was going through the process of the checklist, that afterwards there's inspection of the vessel and the fishes that take place. And the role there for us as fisheries will be then to engage further in looking at or detecting any labor injustices on board of fishing vessels towards fisher crew or whatever conditions that is noted. Yeah, this has already been rolled out in Durban last year, where quite a sample of the fishery control officers were trained through ILO. And here we brought it to the Eastern Cape to train the officials here, especially noting that the Port Elizabeth Harbour and Luca Harbour is responsible, mostly actually Port Elizabeth Harbour, to get the fishing vessels where you find the fishing crew in different fishing sectors. Within our department we do have 22 fishing sectors, but mostly here in the Eastern Cape it's a bit limited towards the Western Cape, but we do have a very large squid fishery where you found that we have quite a large number of fishing crew on board of these vessels, and mostly we do not have so much foreign fishing vessels coming in here because Port Elizabeth is not yet listed as a port to discharge their fish. There is still developments around it, but Cape Town Harbour and Durban Harbour is mostly the main offloading or ports where the fish get discharged from foreign vessels or they are moved in bond and exported from there. So mostly here we look at a local fishing crew, and for us, especially I want to make an example specific about the squid because it is the gold, the white gold of the Eastern Cape here. It's the most thriving economy in the fishing industry in the Eastern Cape. We do not have like for example, compared to the Western Cape, the more lucrative fishing industries that is over there. But here we do have the squid, as people know as the choka fishermen. And in terms of our legislation, we control the squid fishery in terms of total allowable effort. Now that effort refers to the labor, it refers to the number of crew on board of that vessel. And our inspections will dictate that, okay, this vessel are allowed to have 12 crew. I'm just making an example, 12 crew on board, and then you will find nobody has 16 men on board. So there's more applied effort, so the resource get more exploited, and which is obviously infringement. But also what we have found is that initially there was a lot of unhappiness in terms of labor issues, in terms of salary, allowance, working hours in the squid fishery. There's been several negotiations over the years, and I'm so glad now that we do have these organization, we do have this document, we do have this MOU that we can go forward with, that we can work on, that we can know now how to direct and assist these fishermen. They do have their labor organizations where they belong to, but now we can all work together, owners, labor, shop stewards, and government. We can all work together in a cooperative way and see that we ensure that there's decent working conditions for the fishermen out there.
Tell me, how prevalent is forced labor in South Africa and maybe in the Eastern Cape where we have the concentration of squid?
Well, it's alleged that previously there were a lot of injustices in the squid sector, as I mentioned before, in terms of their allowances, etc. I can say that because I was myself a participant on assisting these squid fishermen in terms of the dispensation. they were all paid differently. Some were paid 10, some were paid for a number of days, things like that, which is actually for the mandate of Department of Labour.
Just coming back to this event today, over 3 days. It's a training workshop over 3 days. You brought it to this region, which is mainly a choker fishing region. Why is it important to have this training involving the ILO?
I can only speak from our perspective, and we are very grateful for the ILO creating this platform to train our fishery control officers in the detection of labour injustice, because in specifically bringing to this region, because the Eastern Cape, we do have patrol vessels within the department, but we do not have a permanent vessel station. Yes, it's the organizational arrangement of the department for the vessels to be stationed on the Western Cape and be deployed to the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. But we would love to have on a permanent basis, have a patrol vessel here to go out at sea, because most of these things are happening at sea and can be detected at sea. Hence, today and the next 2 days to come, it's very important for our officers to be trained and to note that when they, and to incorporate what they learn here today when they do the inspections on board of vessels, that they should also look at other things, and even if they do see other things, and they should report it, and they know where to report it, and that's actually a very great eye-opener for the staff, as it was for me.
Is it my understanding that you are now going to be moving over to the Western Cape as well with this specific training workshop?
We as government departments have to go forward, and SAMSA, obviously as the main role player, have to go forward and roll out these to other provinces. And obviously by continuous training and keeping people informed on what's happening, that's how you capacitate people.